Hi, I'm Mr. Miyagi, and this is Mr. Miyagi's Workshop. Okay, today we're going to do another Q&A, since I've gotten a bunch of questions from you guys, so I thought I'd answer them. But I want to go back to our first Q&A that we had. We had a gentleman ask about the clutch rod breaking. And the way he explained to me, it snapped on the outside here. And I think I found where the problem is. What I think the problem is here is that depending on the size of sprocket you have here and the condition of your chain, I've got a feeling that this is coming out and striking that area. And if this sprocket is wore out, now this is an 18 tooth. Let's put on a 17. The 17 tooth would be a stock sprocket. Here, this is a 17 tooth. Now, the only thing is I'm seeing here, if the chain is loose and it's coming in here and wearing on that, that would eventually wear into this rod and make it brittle, and it'd be like a beaver working on a tree. Eventually it's going to fall. So I think that might be the problem, is that the sprocket wear, and it may not have been the gentleman who did it, but it could have been a previous owner that didn't pay attention. So if this chain is wore out, it will jump and slide and whatever, and that I think is maybe why that rod broke. So yeah, I think maybe just being the chain was wearing against it, and then it just eventually wore enough into it that it broke, or it was loose enough that it came and it literally snapped that in half. Okay, I have a gentleman that asked me about a Shovelhead front end. He's got an 83 Harley Shovelhead front end, and what it would take to put that onto an XS650 frame. Now, in a previous video, you saw how that I mounted a Sportster front end on there. Well, there are two different stems on these units. I've got a feeling he's got the old style Shovelhead one, which is a screw cap that comes down on there, and it literally goes through the top of the triple tree. Now the problem with this is there is no way to extend this so that you can make this cap longer. We're back to it. You really have to take the stem out and replace it. Now, this is a welded style one, so you'd have to grind off this area in the back here and somehow push it out and extend it. And another thing is that these are a tapered top triple tree, and what that means is that the top of the forks on these are tapered compared to, compared to the stock straight front end. Now these are a 35 millimeter. Forks are about 2 inches longer than the stock Yamaha ones. So you're going to get a little bit more length on that. Okay, let's move on. I had another gentleman ask me, what kind of maintenance do you pull when you have the motor out? What should I look for is what he's asking. Well, a couple of things. What type of stuff I would do if you're not going to do a major rebuild, you're just kind of want to check the engine over. I would look for any problems of leaks and all that. You know, it's kind of standard. Clean that up, get your motor all cleaned up. Another thing you could do while you have it out and you got it on a stand, you could do a valve adjustment. You could have that the valve adjustment done. You could also move on and you could adjust your timing chain setup. What else do I have here? Oh yeah, you could check your sprocket, make sure that that is in good condition, and your chain. Check the clutch rod. Well, we just talked about that, and you never know, that could be damaged, so you could end up replacing that. Okay, yeah, clutch rod. Yeah, any clutch plates or any of that stuff that needs to be replaced would be a good time to do it right now. Drain it. Make sure you drain all the oil out of this. Check your oil filters, your screens on the bottom there. It's opened up. It's easy to get to. Any of this stuff that you're having a little bit of a problem with, you have a good time to check it right then and there. Okay, I have a question here on what upgrades I did on that dual sport that I built, other than, what was it? Let's see here. What changes did you make to the dual sport besides tires and luggage? Well, so some of the upgrades here is I used the hand guards on. These do several different things. They protect your hands and they keep your hands drier, and in cold weather they block the wind. Another thing that I added to this is that I did these adjustable style mirrors that you can literally fold those in if you're doing trail, so they don't get in your way. You're not out there slapping around and brush hitting them and whatever. Another thing I've done is I put on taller shocks. These are a 13-inch shock. The exhaust system is a sweep up. It stays above the frame. I built this crash guard here, and that was just some tubing that I had left over, and I put on some road clamps so that I could be comfortable when I'm riding down the road. And then here again, we did add the Sportster front end to it, which is longer and better. The seat is something that I had kicking around for quite a long time. It's not one of the most comfortable seats, but I tell you what, it fits in there and it comes off easy. Also, I added, the extra fuel. This is a 1.5 gallons, and it gives me a little bit more range than the standard fuel tank. And I think that pretty much covers a lot of the stuff that I've done to the bike. Oh yeah, I did add one more thing. In case of an emergency, I did add a little extra fuel back here, so that if I run through the main tank and this tank, I got one more little, I believe that's a 30-ounce fuel tank there. And the most important thing is I did add the beer opener. So I hope that helps and gives you an idea of what I did for upgrades and everything on the bike. Okay, I had a gentleman ask me about lining up cams. He'd looked in the German books, and they didn't have a lineage on the cam. A lot of the ones that we get here in the States actually have some lineage that come out that you can actually line up at the top. Now this came out of one of my race bikes. This is a racing cam, but I'll give you an idea. What you want to do is you want to put that notch, this is straight up, and then there's a little dot on the back side here, which is level to where this, where the cylinder head, where this sits into the cylinder head, everything lines up. But like I said, a lot of the cams I have actually have lineage out on it, and you line those up and then you're right on the money. So that's about all I can say on that. So anyway, I hope that's okay. All right, let's move on to the next question here. This gentleman is asking about starter spring, clutch bearings, and fifth gear, where he can get these parts. I've looked all over the internet and it comes right back to Mike's XS. He has the starter spring. I think you have to buy the whole kit, the starter gear and spring. It comes in one deal. If not, you're going to have to go on eBay and look for that one. Sometimes a lot of people have just some miscellaneous parts and you can find that, or you never know, you can find another donor bike. The clutch bearings, that was it. Mike's XS. It's supposed to be a little smoother for when you're going through your shift patterns. Fifth gear, same thing, Mike's XS. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Okay, I have another question, and that was about what type of Timken bearing setup that I'm using in the neck bearings. And you can go on eBay and find these. They're all ball bearing kit. Just type in XS650 neck bearings. TC Brothers has them. Of course, Mike's XS. There's a different range on prices there. I've found them as low as around 28 bucks all the way up to 50 bucks, and they're basically the same bearing and everything. Oh yeah, and also motosport.com, they carry them. This is what I was running. This is just an old set that I had kicking around. That's if you're going to upgrade. Another thing here though, if you're upgrading and you're going to use the Sportster style, these will not fit the neck on a Harley neck. This is a 1-inch, and these are a step style neck. This is a Yamaha triple tree. You can see that this is a step style. It'll handle that, and then the larger is pressed down on the lower end here. What you can do though, if you're not going to use a standard Yamaha, you're still going to need these races. The Harley bearing will work just fine in there, but there's a difference in the Yamaha races. One's a little larger, which is the lower, and this is the upper. So something to keep in mind. So anyway, you check those places. Once again, you can go on eBay, I said, Mike's XS, TC Brothers, motosport.com. Those guys will have pretty much everything that you guys need for parts and stuff. Okay, moving right along here. My last question is about oil pumps. Now, there was a question on these lineups, these arrows. Should you line those up? Well, they go on, if they're going to go into the case itself, the arrows go against the case that's being put in. That's how they go in there. Let me get this a little better here. So the arrow would go that way into the case. Same with this arrow. Now, what's funny about this, you can line these up when you put them together. So there's the arrow, and there's the arrow. So what you can do is that, okay, there's where the arrow is, and there's where the other arrow is. So when you put these together, you can go through that whole process of lining everything up. You can put these in. So the shaft goes in with the pin. So what you're going to see here is that, yeah, it's lined up. But every 5th time this goes around, it will finally line back up again. So it's 5 times around before it will line up. Boom. So it really doesn't matter if you line those arrows up. They're eventually going to catch up to each other anyway in the process. So I hope that answers your question. Well, I hope this episode on Q&A has helped a bit, answered some questions, and may have developed some new ones. If you do have a questions, please send it to my email address. That's teammiyagi@hotmail.com. It'll come scrolling up here. Plus, I'll have it in the comment section. If you do have comments, put them in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys, see how well I'm doing here. But if you like this episode and you like these Q&As, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that ringy-dingy button so you get the next episode coming up. Anyway, this is Mr. Miyagi signing off. So you all stay safe out there. Have a happy whatever day. And I'll see you on the road. Ciao.